These are not even all the books that I read this year. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Yashita and I make content regarding books. In today's video, I'm going to talk about a lot of books, and by a lot I mean this is not even all the books that I read so far in 2023, but here are some of the chosen ones. Basically in this video I'm going to answer some of the prompts and tell you guys which books I liked and didn't like. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's get started with the video. First question is, best book you have read so far in 2023. Unfortunately, I don't have the physical copy of it right now, but it is this Clockwork Angel. Now, this was my first book by Cassandra Clare. I know she is like huge on BookTube, but like this was my first entry into the Shadowhunter world, and I was so amazed by this book. It was so different from all the books that I've read, even in fantasy. So the world was really enticing and I was so invested in this book that I finished it super fast. It's basically about a girl who is thrown into the supernatural world and suffers some betrayal and still gets this found family, and there is a lot going on, but trust me, like this book was so unique that I consider this my best read of 2023 so far, and I don't know if it's gonna change. Let's see. There are 6 more months left. So second question is, best sequel you have read so far. So I have to go with Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Like, it wasn't the best initially, but after the first half it got so interesting, so wonderful. Like, it was the perfect sequel that anyone could ask for. Okay, so I don't know why that it is taking me a lot of time to get into books, or if the books are not up to mark with the pacing, because I am enjoying the later half of the book so much more than the starting. I know starting can be a little bit confusing because you're just thrown into the world, but still there are some things that can keep you interested in reading, but I'm not finding that to happen in a lot of books I'm reading. And when I reach like 200-300 pages, then it gets interesting. So this is what happens with Crown of Midnight as well, but I did like this book. I rated it a 4.5 star. Even Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, I rated these both 4.5 stars, so I couldn't like choose which sequel was the best that I've read since now. This book comes after Throne of Glass in the Throne of Glass series, and I know I picked it up and I'm loving it. Although not the books per se, but like as a collective series, as the story, the world is so unique. The characters, not all the characters I'm in love with, but there are some of the characters that I fall in love with in different books. So this book is after Throne of Glass, which is basically a story about an assassin and how her fate changes, and there are so many different creatures. There are betrayals, there is love, there is everything you could ask for in a fantasy book, really. So I cannot like talk about this book because that might be a spoiler, so just know that this was a really good one. Next question is biggest disappointment, and I have 3 books to talk about. I don't like to talk about books that I didn't like because that is a complete waste of time. But first, okay, let's start with the one that I picked up first. So it was The Poppy War by Arif Kwang. I don't know what people liked in this book, but I hated it. It is about a war and this character that has been training, and then a lot of shit goes down. But like the training part, the getting into that battle school, everything was super interesting. I was intrigued, but the main plot just changed. It was turned into inhuman, monstrous things, and I was not liking it because there was just like these monstrous powers in human, and that kind of thing I didn't know this book will have. But I just imagined it to be a war story and the trauma that comes with it. I was super ready. Like, people said that it was very emotional, and that was what I was imagining this book to be, but it was very bad. I was so angry for all the people who said this was, which is a lot of people, Like a lot of people love this book, but I was too mad at them because I wouldn't have picked up and read so many of these pages, but just the cover is gorgeous. So I'll be really quick about my next book, but it is The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas. Now this is the prequel to the Throne of Glass series, which I talked highly about just now. But let me tell you, this book, like people say that you should read as a prequel to the series, but I read about all the traumatic events before, so it was not fun that all the technical stuff came after that. If this was read after Hair of Fire, which is the fourth book in the series, I would have preferred it that way. This is how I see myself enjoying a book. I don't like to just thrown into the emotions first, then the word. In this book, what bothered me was how predictable it was. The next book that was a huge disappointment and let down, whatever you call it, was The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I expected this book to like keep me on edge, which it did. It did keep me on edge. The characters, though, they had no personality. It was just confusing and intimidating, a mess, but still you were enticed to read further. But this book is a scam because there was no conclusion in this book. The ending was what we already knew from the beginning and was seriously disappointing because it was like this book was meant for you to pick up the second book. I don't know if even the second book has a conclusion because a lot of people said that the second book is a repetition of first book a lot. So I am not reading the series. They build up tension, they build up this suspense, and for what? Like, it was pointless to even read this book, and I wasted my time reading this book, and now I'm wasting my time talking about this book. Let's just get into the next question, which is a good one, and it is my biggest surprise of this year so far, and I'm gonna have to say Serpent and Dove by Shelby Mahorian. This book, in starting, I was not feeling it. It is about a witch and a witch hunter, and it had fake marriage tropes, so it was really interesting to read. Even the plot was super good. The characters, like, I loved reading this book, and if you haven't picked it up till now, read it. The book is beautiful, the story is beautiful, the characters are beautiful. The couple in this book are one of my favorite couples, so I really like that. So the next question is newest fictional crush. It is going to be Scott from Set on You by Amy Lee. I loved this book. I loved the characters in this book. And Scott, like, he is a firefighter, so he is saving lives, y'all. And above that, he's also a gym freak. And the way he loves Crystal, although I should be jealous, is like the best. So this book, if you haven't read, is a must read if you love romance. Next prompt is newest favorite character, and it's going to be from this book, Hair of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. Again, the fourth book in the Throne of Glass series. And in this book, here's Serena Sardothian, like, her character developed so much. I could see this new side of her. This book really changed my perspective on her, and I really loved that happening. Prompt is the book that made me cry. So it is like, I didn't have to think twice about choosing this book for this prompt, and it is Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. Now this book is about a toxic couple, and it was a very relatable in sense of not the things that go down, but the love that they share, the feelings that they share. And there are a lot of good quotes in this book. Like, I have this book all read by highlighting it, and I would love to read the parts I marked in this book again because it was so good. If you're going to pick it up, which I highly recommend you do, but just don't take it very seriously because it is just pure entertainment, rich people drama, their emotions and parties and stuff like that. If you don't like that, don't read it. But just take it lightly. It's meant to be enjoyed and not like picked faults that. I did pick up the second book in the series as well, but I wasn't as invested, or I should say I didn't read much further to know if I was going to be interested in that. But this book just hit the spot in the starting only, so I was like really interested in reading it. Although I didn't rate it a 5 stars, I rated it 4.75, which is close, but I don't know why I reduced the rating. But I did love this book and I will recommend it for entertainment purpose. Again, don't take the relationship too seriously, and if you are not heartbroken, I'm afraid you won't get this book. Next prompt is books that made me happy. Okay, I'll be answering 2 of the questions together because this book answers 2 of the questions. So the next question is the most beautiful book you bought this year. So it is Flawless by Elsie Silver. This is the most beautiful book that I bought this year, and it is also the book that made me happy. It is a romance between a bull rider and his agent's daughter. It is kind of a forbidden romance, but not very light on that spectrum. But I did like this book. It is very spicy. If you don't like spicy, just don't pick it up. But it's like characters were good, the banter was good, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Like, who can imagine a cowboy story, a country vibe story to be pink? And I still love it so much, and I love the covers that look like this in the entire series. Okay, I didn't tell you, it is the first book in the Chestnut Spring series by Elsie Silver, and I really enjoyed it. I want to read the second book as soon as I get my hands on it. I'm gonna pick it up. So the second book in the book that made me happy was a fantasy book, and it is The Ruins of Goldland by John Flanagan. It is the first book in the Ranger's Apprentice series. It is a short one, but I loved it nonetheless. It is about a boy named Will who trains as a ranger, saves lives. It's like really good, and the friendship aspect, the found family aspect in this book is super amazing. I love the characters in this book and the world, the things that go down and how they are dealt with. Everything about this book was amazing. I want to read the second book of this series too. Like, I keep reading the first books in the series, and like there are a lot of books that I have to buy or read now. So the 10th and last prompt that we have for today is the one I added myself for funsies, and it is the thickest book I read this year. And I have read a lot of thick books this year, and I had to go through all of them to check which one was the thickest, and the result was The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. It is a 662-page book. It doesn't even have acknowledgement. Like, the last page is the last page of the book. I love this book. It was a 5-star read. I've talked about it in my previous videos. I just wanted to answer this fun little question. It is not going to be the thickest book I read this year because I have 3-4 books that I really want to read, and those are above 1000 or 900 per se, so it is not going to be this book. But until now, the books that I've read this year, this was the one. So here comes the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed me answering these questions and you got some recommendations. Alright, I'll see you guys in my next video. Until then, goodbye.